Thank you, Madam Deputy President. I'm just going to speak briefly on this. I haven't prepared remarks, and I thank the other members for the remarks that have been made, and I've appreciated listening to them. The parts that I would like to just reiterate is that while we appear to be locked into supporting this bill, and I will be doing that through the national agreements that have bound us to it, I fully concur with the sentiments expressed about the misplacement of this investment and the lost opportunity that it has, that it represents for our state. And I'm just going to elaborate slightly on that. In that the intent to stimulate our state economically and to improve job prospects in the state across this next period of time is, of course, highly important. It's absolutely critical that we do that and we do it effectively. Others here have made the clear point that this is going to generate activity that would already have happened. I think that point is well made. I think it's well recognised. This is not delivering us something new and different and additional to what was there before. And the point that I would like to particularly make is that if we had chosen differently, if we could take the investment we're making in this space as a state and we could put it into other opportunities that have also been mentioned here today, and specifically that is social housing for the 3,500 people on our public housing waiting list, opportunities for people who have a disability or who are elderly and require adjustments and modifications to their homes, opportunities for them to have renovations and adjustments made. And the third one is opportunities, particularly for people on low incomes, to make use of a renovation that would improve the climate efficiency of their home. Now, those three areas, if they were prioritised with this investment we are planning to make, would have done exactly the same intended thing of providing economic stimulus, creating jobs to undertake that work. But they would have done much more on top of that, in addition to that. So not only would we have been delivered exactly the intended stimulus that this bill brings us, we would also have had, let's look at it, in terms of climate efficiency, we would have had people on low incomes living in housing that was healthier and saved us on the health front. We would have had them living in houses that were more economical for them to be in a day-to-day way. We would have reduced their bills in winter typically, when it's really important to do that. We would have delivered better outcomes for our community on the environment and climate change front, through that efficiency delivered through funded renovations and improvements made in that space. Secondly, the other part was the disability and accessibility options for elderly Tasmanians. Now, we know that in this state there are thousands of people living with a disability who would like to have access to funding to improve the accessibility of their homes, or to get equipment that they need within their homes to improve the quality of their lives. And in fact, let's be really clear, not just improve the quality of their lives, but let them live with the basic essentials of a good life in their homes. This is people who perhaps need assistance to get in and out of their homes with ramps and the like. It might be people who need assistance to be able to move through parts of their home with greater accessibility by widening door spaces. These are fundamental basic things. There's Tasmanians right now who cannot live in a basic way we all take for granted here because they can't afford modifications of their homes. Where is our investment in them? Where we would get economic delivery and we would get better quality of life for some of the most disadvantaged Tasmanians who are struggling on a daily basis to get about their homes. The third one is that social and public housing. This is a no-brainer. Putting this investment into that space, however many homes that might deliver us, let's pick a figure out of the air. Let's say it would deliver us 200 homes. I have no idea what the amount would be. Let's say it's that. What we would get from that investment is exactly the same economic stimulus and job stimulus that's proposed here in this bill and through this initiative, we would also get that many households provided with an affordable home to live in. Now, for those of us who probably generally through our lives had a home we could afford to live in, it's easy to dismiss the full impact of what that means. If we delivered, let's say, 200 homes for people to live in, let's just say, it is a place for them to live, but it's also a place for their children to have safe and secure, permanent, ongoing, a home to live in from which they then attend school. So on top of economic stimulus and job stimulus, we get an education stimulus for some of the kids in this state who are most disadvantaged, who have difficulty connecting with education because of uncertain and unsteady housing and home situations. We deliver a stimulus for our future through that economic benefit. We also, through providing social and public housing, provide women and children in our community with safety. We get an absolute bonus and stimulus in safety for women and children who are suffering from domestic violence in this state by being able to provide them with a home. Right now, women and children in this state are staying in situations of lack of safety, of violence, of abuse, because they do not have an option to go to. They are waiting. They are there waiting, not in safety. We would get a safety stimulus with a different choice for this funding. We would also get a health stimulus. Now, at a time that our state is suffering from an incredible health challenge, and we are all, even before this pandemic, acutely aware of the health challenges we face as a state, if we were to deliver, through investment in public and social housing, a certain number of homes to Tasmanian families for safety and security, what we would get is a health stimulus, because a home that's affordable to you and can be something you can rely on permanently into the future improves health outcomes. We would see hospital admissions go down. We would see people able to connect to a local GP. We would see people not suffering the same sorts of illnesses that a more itinerant lifestyle might generate. We get a health stimulus through that sort of funding. What else do we get? We actually get a community wellbeing stimulus through that sort of funding. We would likely see a crime rate reduction from the uncertainty that's often presented by people who are facing homelessness, who are facing difficulty in securing affordable home. We would see people who might be struggling to manage addictions of different sorts, provided with a stable base from which they could then be better supported to address those issues. So funding, this funding, a choice made to direct this funding just slightly differently to achieve all the same ends that are claimed under this initiative. We could also have received a raft of the most valuable, the most needed stimuluses in this state across those other areas: health, homelessness, domestic violence, education, children's safety, community wellbeing. What a lost opportunity, Madam Deputy President. What a tragically lost opportunity. And I trust and hope that our state government and our federal government will actually give a more holistic thought to future investments of this sort of stimulus money to deliver to us what would be in absolutely the best interests of our state, and not just in the best interests of a very narrow proportion of our population for whatever political purposes that might have been.
The question is, the bill be read a second time. Those of that opinion say, the Honourable Leader, in response to the debate.
I think we're done. Thank you very much for your contributions. I think that there's a little bit more to come, is there? No. So